Welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 250,000 subscribers. Look, you're going to find out from this episode just how important this specific show actually is. So hit the subscribe button, watch, and most importantly, share with your friends. Because last night, I went on Abby Phillips' show on CNN to discuss Trump's defamation suits. The one I'm specifically talking about is, of course, the ABC $16 million decision. Well, I should say the settlement with ABC for $16 million. But now the lawsuit filed by Trump against the Des Moines Register, Ann Salzer, and of course, Gannett, which is the parent company. And I want to show you some of the clips on it because it's extremely important. And you'll understand at the very end why I say that's why this show and others are so important. Play the clip.
Michael, I got to read this statement from the Trump campaign that responding to you being on the show. Stephen Chung, the communications director, says Michael Cohen is an admitted liar, thief, perjurer, and convicted felon. He has zero credibility and clearly suffers from a debilitating case of severe Trump derangement syndrome that has rotted his brain. So we're reading that statement. But what you're talking about is not actually anything that's surprising, because Trump himself has said, I mean, he literally said what you just said, which is the strategy is I, Donald Trump, have enough money to just take this thing to court, whether I win or lose. It's disruptive to the journalists. It's disruptive to the news organization. It costs them a ton of money. And he's right about that.
Abby, it's more than just that. Not only does Donald Trump have money, he has money with the RNC. He has money with his super PACs, and his money has money. Look at all of the tech billionaires that are around him now. There is an indefinite amount of money. And I believe wholeheartedly that the Des Moines Register, very much like ABC Disney, is going to capitulate. And I believe that Donald Trump has actually figured out a way how to change the way that media deals with issues.
Yeah. So, Stephen Chung, let me say this. You have no idea what I'm going to talk about, but yet you presuppose that I do. In fact, if you turn around now and you think about my answers, my responses are spot on with Trump's. Why? Because I actually know him. I know him better than you. And the fact that you put out a statement questioning, I'm a felon. Well, Donald's a felon. You called me a liar. Donald lies. You called me a perjurer. Who else perjured themselves? Donald Trump, according to two judges. So, relax. I know that you need to do something in order to stay in the orbit, but I should not be the target. All right. And I want to show you now a clip, all right, where when I was on, I explained how I have unique experience, that I have been on both sides of the Trump defamation suits. I was one who went ahead and filed actions on behalf of Trump from 2007 through 2017, as well as somebody who was targeted by Donald Trump in a $500 million lawsuit based out of the Southern District of Florida. Play that clip.
So I stand in a unique position because not only did I sue individuals or at least threaten lawsuits against individuals if they would write or claim to be writing a story which is defamatory, demeaning, or disparaging to Mr. Trump. I was also sued by Mr. Trump, as you may remember, for $500 million in the Southern District of New York. The playbook that Donald is doing right now, it's not new. It's what we did at the Trump Organization, where I would reach out to someone like a Des Moines Register, and I would express to them, I don't believe that this is, number one, legitimate. I believe it's a false story, and I truly believed it was a false story, and that if, in fact, you go ahead with it, we will, and my client has advised me, to file and institute a lawsuit against you for defamation. I would say, of every story that you may have seen, 70% never made it to the block. And the reason why is because I would do the research on the company and see basically what their profit margin was. And based upon that, I know that Mr. Trump, who is a billionaire, and gave me full discretion within which to institute lawsuits and to follow through with them, we would do that. And I used to use the New York Times case as an example of, it may have cost Mr. Trump $1 million, but it cost them $5.
This
and
is
if you have $5
this is
million,
the Times case that he lost.
yes,
Eventually.
Now
Right.
he may have lost the case, but he actually won because of the precedent we were able to set. If you have an extra $3, $4, $5 million, which I know you don't, because I would do research on the company and find that they had a circulation of 30,000 for the month, I could figure out relatively quickly what their profit margin was. And you want to take your profit margin, you want to give it to your lawyers, that's no problem. But understand, the second that we file that lawsuit, we take it to trial.
Yeah. And again, that was the MO. And that's why this case with Des Moines Register, the case with Ann Selzer, the pollster, why I turned around and I said at the very beginning of this that they will capitulate. Because I can tell you right off the bat, with the infinite dollars that Donald Trump currently has, with the money that he currently has with the billionaires and with the RNC, and his ability to raise just enormous amounts of money, he could basically just hire every single law firm in an area in Ohio or in Iowa or in New York or in Florida, wherever he plans on filing, or in Texas, wherever he plans on filing this action. He could hire basically every single lawyer in the area of any consequence and basically leave you alone to try to figure it out on your own. And that's why I say they made a terrible, terrible mistake. But Donald Trump has changed the way that things are going to be in the future regarding defamation cases. Well, look, then Scott Jennings jumped in. And, Scott and I have this interesting sort of relationship where we just don't agree on basically anything. But he said that this is all about the narratives. Play that clip.
Are you worried at all about this, Scott, just where it could go? Not just the Donald Trump of it all, but I mean, if he's creating precedent, it's for everybody.
Well, when you introduced, Michael, you used the word narratives, and I think one of the reasons Republicans are cheering on this muscular attitude from Trump and pushing back against some of this is because Republicans feel like constantly media organizations, especially in the throes of campaigns, work overtime to create false narratives that may shape the contours of the election. Look what happened. When this poll came out in Iowa, the entire English-speaking world was talking about the gold standard pollster, and Harris has this momentum, and ultimately what we were told was complete garbage. And if you talked to pollsters at the time, they would have told you, this is not real, this methodology is not good anymore. But that's not what people chose to run with because it fit what most people in the press wanted the narrative to be. So he's pushing back on that. I don't, frankly, have a problem with it. And if they capitulate, it's because they don't want to go through the discovery and what that might show.
You're a practitioner, Scott. I mean, it's a bad poll. A bad poll is a bad poll.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, it's been a long time. But I agree with what Scott is saying right there. It is called sloppy journalism. I myself have been at least the subject of 100 different lies promoted by journalists. And it's hard for me even to call them journalists. I just basically call them assholes. Where they turn around, for example, they made the allegation that I received $400,000 from former Ukrainian President Poroshenko. $400,000 in order to set up a meeting between Poroshenko and Donald Trump when he was president of the United States. It's a lie. I never met with Poroshenko. I never spoke to Poroshenko, never spoke to anybody on behalf of Poroshenko. I never set up any meetings with Trump and Poroshenko. In fact, that was done through their lobbying firm, to which I had no affiliation. I don't even know who they are. And the first time I ever heard about them was by a journalist who called me to say, we have verified proof that you received $400,000. I said, show it to me, because it's not in my bank account. And I have no idea what you're even talking about. Sloppy journalism. All I can tell you is every single second for the next 4 or 5 days, Michael Cohen takes $400,000 from the Ukraine. In fact, Poroshenko ended up suing the journalists, as well as the company that they were working with, but not here in the United States because the defamation laws here are so difficult. He sued him in England, which is where he resided, believe it or not, and has he has an address. And what ended up happening is he won. Poroshenko won. They had to pay him. And not only did they have to pay him, they had to issue an apology and a retraction. So far, the only institution, I can't believe I'm even saying this, the only news institution that has ever retracted a statement or apologized to me publicly was OAN, the far-right paper, when they put out the story that the $130,000 that I had paid to Stormy Daniels was not on behalf of Donald Trump, but that I was engaged in a relationship with Stormy Daniels. And Donald, being the great friend to me that he is, went ahead and he covered the whole thing for me. Again, not true. It was a lie. And at the end of the day, they did apologize, they retracted, and they had the story removed. It still doesn't take away the damage. And I hate to say it, I agree with Trump that sloppy journalism and defamation cases need certain attention, and they need to be made simpler so that journalists actually do a scintilla of homework before putting out a story. So lastly, on the show, we also spoke about how deliberate media is the root problem of all of this. Play the clip.
Deliberate. That
what
was
happens,
a deliberate attempt.
That's the word of the day, deliberate. What happens when it was deliberate? That's the whole point that Donald Trump is trying to explore right now. What happens when that deliberate fake poll comes out and does actually alter? Now, by the way, you forgot about X, you forgot about Truth Social,
Thank you, yes,
and so
thank
on.
you.
But what happens when it is deliberate? And that's why I believe that ABC ended up folding, because they did not want discovery to take place.
Yeah.
That there's no other reason, as far as I'm concerned.
they
as to
fold-
why-
Yeah, it's so true. It is sloppy journalism. All these assholes are out there running to be the first to get the breaking news so that they can get clicks and that they can, increase their visibility, their circulation, or whatever. At whose expense? My expense? Your expense? President-elect? Campaigns? It's wrong. And I don't care whether you like Donald Trump or you dislike Donald Trump. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or independent. A journalist's obligation is to do his homework and to do a good and a right job. Think of it no different than a lawyer or a doctor. Now, I understand that there are medical situations that don't go, let's say, according to hope. But as long as they follow the procedures, it's not as if you're going to go to a podiatrist for neurobrain surgery. And you have people who call themselves journalists. They're not journalists. They're not. They're propagandists. And Donald Trump is hitting on something here. And that's the reason why he was successful in winning the plurality. Not because, let's say, he's a better candidate than Kamala Harris was. No. It's because he hit topics. He made you focus on the tree and ignore the forest of what's really going on. Again, it's like what he could put on a bumper sticker: groceries and gasoline. This is a real problem too. And when I said at the beginning why shows like this are important, nothing but the truth here. No innuendo, no bullshit, no spin. Facts and only facts. And as always, thanks for listening. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.